Okay, we are back with part 4. Let's get into it. Okay, so my lips are dry. Let me just put on a little flee. I love this. I'm trying out some of their new lip products. I have like a whole box to go through. Anyways, so let's get into part 4. And this is where I really started to question. I started to walk out of churches. Anytime that we would go with my mom, and I'm listening, and yeah, it'll be like, this is off, and my spirit is like churning and pulling and everything. I'm like, this is not right. This is not even a line. And I don't know how to explain knowing. I just knew it was so strong, and the urge to like, I gotta go, I gotta get up. So it's I would walk out. I walk out all the time until I think my mom was approached and was like, "Why does your daughter walk out and sit outside instead of listening or staying seated and stuff?" So what would happen is at some point she would go to her church, and I would walk a couple blocks and I'll go into a Catholic church and I would sit. This would be even after mass is done, but like the church is open, and I would sit there. I'll be staring at the panel, the window panes, and the art and the sculptures, and I would just sit there and just be in silence and peace. Something about it, I don't know. I think that's what I needed at the time as a young teen, and just like trying to understand and figure out. So in college, I went to school, and my mom was just like really urging me a lot of, find a church, you should be going to church and stuff like that. And there was something on campus of a church, and it was like a lot of young people a part of it, and I was like, it sounded cool, and I hung out a lot with them, and they would do Bible groups, Bible studies on campus, and they would have a lot of different activities, either going to the beach, going bowling, having these small house parties, and all these different things. And then at some point, it was really a lot of people pleasing that I was doing, because it was just like, okay, I'll just do this. And I decided to join that church and be a part of it. And I think I was in it for a few years. And it was just like craziness. At some point, it was craziness and learning like how the cult side of it, and yeah. And then I was just like, this is not for me. And upon graduating college, and I was there for a little bit after, I decided I'm going to leave this church. Like, it was just too much. There was a lot going on, a lot of fakeness, a lot of lies, a lot of what they were really good is keeping you separate from your family, keeping you separate from any other outside. They weren't a part of the church. It's like you couldn't be around other people if they're not part of the church. And at some point, that just really rubbed on me, and my eyes started to open up. There's something off about this. It shouldn't be this way. There's too much control, too much heaviness of control, mind control, a lot of fear buildup. My anxiety at points was through the roof. I was getting sick so much, and in hindsight, I was getting sick a lot because of the amount of pressures and the psychological pressures that they would do. And I was like, no, I gotta get out of this. And I found a way out, and I got out. And from that point on, because in one thing I would say that was great about being that they made you read that Bible. And I had a chance to study that Bible from from Genesis all the way to Revelation. I read that Bible inside out. Even after being out of that church, I think I was just being a seeker. I was really being like, no, I need to understand this, like, without anyone having to tell me. And I studied that Bible front and back. I read it about 4 or 5 times, front and back, knowing, understanding where all the discrepancies, what was added. I started deep dive into the history. I started really looking at the other books that weren't inside the Bible. I went on a manhunt, literally, of diving into this path. And then it led me into the Kabbalah, right? The Torah, which is the 5 books, the first 5 books of the Bible, and trying to understand what's the Torah doing in the Bible. Why is it leading? Because that's basically the psychology of it. Is it's leading the way. It's telling you what you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to do. They are the leaders. They are the teachers. They are the ones creating the direction. And so the first 5 books is the Torah, and really understanding this path. I went down several rabbit holes and really studying, and it led me into Islam. And I became a Muslim, and I studied like a mug. I went all the way in, and I felt like I needed to go in to understand fully. That is how I learn. I need to experience, I need to become, and really deep dive, hearing the Adhan, doing the prayers, reading the Quran, reading the Hadiths, front to back, having that Quran play inside and out, in my home, in my vehicle, in my headset, really deep diving, studying. I went ham on Christianity. I went ham on Islam, studying also the Torah. I went in and Kabbalah mysticism. I went in Sufism. I went in. I wanted to understand so heavily. It was an energy in me, like learn. And I had to keep drinking. I had to keep pulling it in. I went ham on it hard. And it took me into Melchizedek, and I went to mystery school. And mystery school, was like this aha. Everything I was studying throughout college, throughout my teen years, outside of college, and really I studied Rastafarianism. I went in on Naya Bingi part. I went in, and I'm just letting you guys know my journey of studying and going in non-stop, back to back, buying books left, right, when I'm led. My inner self, my higher self, get this book, get that book, get this. It'll come right in front of me, and I'm reading, and I'm studying. I was just drenched in spirituality of these particular religions, one after the other. And mystery school opened me up in such a way, taking all that info and went boom. And I was like, oh my God, I just buck up on something. Part 5 next.